everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Essays and Espresso podcast. This time, we are talking about Scott Pilgrim, both the graphic novel and the movie.
Graphic novel. Graphic novel. It's a comic book. Call that a comic book.
It's a comic book.
I'm ashamed of reading comics. I have to call them graphic novels. I can't watch movies. I have to watch films. That's what you say.
I am a connoisseur of cinema, good sir.
Actually, they're called electric experiences. They're not video games.
That voice you just heard was Acer. Hello, Acer.
Hi.
You're in tip-top shape today, I see.
Oh, I've been recording for 2.5 hours before I showed up. I'll be recording
unlike the slalom Boken, who hasn't said a word this whole time.
That's
Boken,
true.
That's true. I don't even know why.
You're just cowering in the corner.
Just been going through the books, some random things to refresh my mind.
Yeah, Bogan has no notes. Yeah. No notes for the first time.
No, I have some notes.
Oh, just you had no notes in the pre-recording.
Very few compared to usually.
See, unlike Boken, I've never taken a single note for any of these spoiler casts. I'm just built different, everyone.
I think I took
Your
notes.
Your commentary is
something.
so top-notch. I don't know how you do it, Daniel.
Okay, I don't know how to take that compliment. You threw me off my game.
I'm
Anyways,
sorry.
I was the one that recommended this one this time. I actually, unlike all these other recommendations, which is something that I not necessarily grew up with, but something that I was, that's something I interacted with for like a good while, or something that I've been a fan of for like at least a few years. Scott Pilgrim is a much more recent thing for me. I did see the movie when it came out, and I played a bit of the game. But I didn't actually read the graphic novel or the comic book until pretty recently. So when they announced the re-release for the video game, that kind of reminded me like, oh yeah, Scott Pilgrim, that was a thing that I enjoyed, but I never read the books. So
yes,
that was when I had decided, let me actually give him a shot because I heard really good things. And yeah, I really enjoyed them, so I wanted to share it with you guys. So that's kind of my history with Scott Pilgrim. As far as I know, you guys have had no prior history with Scott Pilgrim.
I had watched half of the movie, I think.
And then you turned it down in anger?
No, I was leaving for something. I just sat down and it was on TV. I was like, gotcha. Oh yeah, this is fun. That's great.
So I wanted to ask real quick, because I'm sure you guys have seen other Edgar Wright movies. How do you think, before we get into the movie more deeply, just what do you guys think of it as an Edgar Wright movie compared to his other flicks?
Bogan, do you have an opinion?
I didn't even know it's an Edgar Wright movie.
What?
I didn't
know?
I didn't look it up. I mean,
You didn't know?
No, why would I know?
You didn't tell from the way he moves the camera and his editing style, Bogan. It's an impeccable style.
Well, I see that I overestimated you, Boken. I expected you to be more up to snuff with your directors, but I suppose not.
Yeah, Bogan, you really let the podcast down.
That's really bullshit. Because I know Edgar Wright movies, and they're not like this. I feel like the style of this movie was very much, I wouldn't say borrowed from the books, but faithfully recreated. Which is not true for the fucking Cornetto trilogy.
I think that, I think you can see a lot of...
for the what trilogy?
The Shaun of the Dead, Hot Fuzz, World's End.
The Cornetto trilogy.
So I've only seen Shaun of the Dead. I haven't seen Hot Fuzz or the other one.
Hot Fuzz is the best one, and the other one sucks. People will tell you.
I love Shaun of the Dead. I've seen Shaun of the Dead like 5 times.
Yeah. Shaun of the Dead. Shaun
movie.
of the Dead is good. I'm saying the World's End movie. That one sucks. People will tell you it's good, but they don't know what they're saying.
Okay.
Hot Fuzz is so good though. It has Timothy Dalton, the best Bond.
Yeah. When I heard that he was in that movie, I was like, "Fuck! I need to watch it now." Because now he's low key become like one of my favorite actors.
Yeah, he's so
just
fun.
by watching the Bond movies. I'm like, "Damn, Timothy Dalton's the shit." I need to watch more.
Wasn't Baby Driver an Edgar Wright movie?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
It had your favorite actor Kevin Spacey in it.
God.
Yeah.
I fucking hated the last third of that movie so much.
I heard mixed things about Baby Driver. Like basically, it's a really stylish, well-crafted movie with like no substance.
Yeah. Anyway, why are we talking about this? Let's get back.
I was just curious because I thought you. I had in my head that you were like a really big Edgar Wright fan.
No, I'm not. I mean, I like Hot Fuzz and Shaun of the Dead just fine, but it didn't seem like an Edgar Wright movie to me.
Bogan, were you
disappointed?
To be fair,
I don't care about him that much.
Okay, fair enough.
Bogan, were you disappointed when Edgar Wright didn't end up directing Ant-Man, your favorite superhero?
My favorite. Well, he probably would have done better than whoever got the job.
They got Martin Scorsese. I don't remember the guy's name.
Did Edgar Wright do The Guardians, or was that? No, that was someone else, right?
That's James Gunn.
No, that was James Gunn.
Oh, James Gunn, yeah.
No.
Okay. So, anyways, bringing this back to the books. So, just generally speaking, how did you guys feel about it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Were you indifferent? Acer,
I liked it.
you start.
I liked it.
You liked it.
I didn't hate it. When I began reading this, I was like, damn it, Daniel has picked one of his little indie mushy emotional comics. This one is gonna be a real clunker to get through. And then I started reading and I was like, oh no, this is actually fun. I like these characters. I like the humor. I like the fact that Scott Pilgrim, he's just like a deadbeat who bums off of all of his friends. I had a lot of fun with it.
And you, Boken?
I liked it as well. I have a few complaints, one major one and a couple minor ones.
Here come the typical
All right,
Boken complaining.
Bring the complaints.
But
let me hear them.
Overall, I still want to make it clear that I was very positive on this, and it was like a very fun and very flowing read that took me no time whatsoever to get through.
Are you gonna complain about the fact that one of the ex-boyfriends is a vegan? Are you you're gonna be like, no, vegan could be an ex-boyfriend. Why would she?
No, I'm gonna complain that Scott Pilgrim is an asshole, and I hate him.
Yeah.
No.
And I understand that is the point, but it's a problem when at the end the story expects me to root for him and I don't, because he's a terrible human being and I don't want his relationship to work out.
What? He fought so many boyfriends for her.
That sounds like a you problem.
No, I don't think so.
Yes. So, but before we get into that, though, I want to say like the pacing of these books are amazing. Like they flow so well. Like you just turn page by page, and it just like everything feels very seamless and brisk, even though it doesn't feel like it's going too quickly or that like you're missing things. I don't know how he did it, but like this isn't the very first thing he's ever done. He actually did Brian Lee O'Malley.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I like how you're not using his name because you're clearly trying to remember what it is.
He worked on another comic book called Lost at Sea before this, and that one's actually very good, very brisk read, very, very short. That one is basically about a girl. She goes on a trip with some not really close friends, more like acquaintances. She just kind of did it just because she had like a bad breakup with someone and she just needed to kind of get away, and this was just an excuse for her to just get away and just go on this random trip with these people that she doesn't know very well. But you know, it's a very nice little short story. And after Scott Pilgrim, he worked on another book called Seconds, and that one's really good too. That one's more like, I want to say, like the length of like half of Scott Pilgrim. Like,
have you been absorbing everything this guy has written?
Not everything. He did something else called Snot Girl, which I haven't. Yeah, he wrote the story for that, but he didn't do the artwork, and you can tell because the artwork is very different. I haven't gone through that yet.
Can we talk about how his artwork is like? I feel like he sort of cemented the style of like emoji expression. You know how one of my favorite emojis, I'll do it in the chat right now for all you listeners. It's the what's that first thing called, Daniel? The first symbol. It's like a dot and another dot above it.
Like the O face.
What's it called?
He means the
damn it,
dot.
this thing.
The colon?
Yeah, it's like a colon and then a zero. I hate the emoji you get when you do it. I love when you do the zero because the mouth is so slanted, and I feel like a lot of that is in the like a lot of the expressions in Scott Pilgrim are just that. Just like weird.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, weird sort of over-exaggerated, goofy faces. I had a lot of time for that.
Do you have the books right with you? Like, I'm looking at volume 2, and Ramona is basically making that exact face.
Yeah. No, I have him. I have him in my computer.
Yeah, I have him on my tablet.
Oh, a tablet. La-dee-da.
So this is something I
Because
found
I'm the only
funny.
one who's still killing trees for his entertainment.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Pokin, you're also the only one I think that read it in black and white.
Oh yeah,
Really?
It's originally supposed to be in black and white, isn't it?
Well, I'm the only one.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Yes.
I
There was a great.
I just bought what I found, and I didn't even know if it. Like, I didn't know it was black and white.
Hey, how do the characters come out in black and white? Because there's one passage which when Knives begins dating young Neil, and they're like, what do you mean, Scott? He looks exactly like you, and I never got that. Did that play better in black and white?
Yeah. And
okay.
that is one of my minor complaints. Is like I love the art style. I think Brian Lee O'Malley is an amazing artist for many reasons, but boy, do the characters all look the same, especially the women.
Oh,
Like, it was
also,
sometimes a huge issue to keep people apart, especially Ramona,
Okay.
who keeps changing her hairstyle and her clothes. I could only tell Kim because Kim had freckles.
Wait,
That
so
was
this
the
is
only way I could
this
tell
is-
that was her.
This is like at Wood, her hair, where it's like, which one do you like, the red dress or the green dress? I like the dark gray one because he's colorblind. So you never knew what her hair color was like.
Yeah, and there's one joke in
funny.
this where Scott asks Ramona, like, "Is that your natural hair color?" And she is like, "What? I don't know. Maybe. I guess yeah." And then in the corner of the screen of the panel, it says, "This book is in black and white."
Yeah. So in the color version, that scene it replaces that little dialogue with this joke was funnier in black and white.
Yeah.
So I feel like reading it in color is probably the better experience overall because I didn't have that issue.
No, but it's not true to
Clearly.
the artistic vision, Daniel. I read JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 7 in black and white, and holy crap, everybody's face begins looking exactly the same at the end. And I mean, like, the girls and the guys and everybody has the exact same face. It's so bad.
Damn. They're all just like
They all have, like...
muscle bound.
No. They're not muscular. They're, like, lean and athletic.
Oh, that's right. I keep thinking...
Of
For
part
me,
3.
JoJo is still like, JoJo's still like bada, like they're still like fucking
What the
big muscle bound, like 8 foot tall, 16-year-olds with like
Yeah, like...
rippling rock hard abs,
Daniel...
bulging muscles.
Daniel hasn't paid attention to JoJo since the late 80s by everybody.
Yeah,
I
apparently.
haven't paid I haven't paid attention to JoJo since Stardust Crusaders.
Yeah, that's exactly when it stops looking like that.
Yeah. Well, it runs a bit into part 4 in the manga, but whatever.
All right, what are your other complaints, Boken?
Yeah, Bogan.
Well, can we just talk about what this is actually about? Can we go over the plot?
Sure. Okay, so for those that are listening to this who have never read or watched the movie or anything, basically Scott Pilgrim is about the titular character. He's very aimless, sort of layabout. He lives with his gay roommate, and he lives a very listless sort of life. He just plays in a band, and he has like no direction in life. But then he meets this girl named Ramona Flowers, who instantly becomes the love of his life. But in order to be with her, he needs to defeat her 7 evil ex-boyfriends.
Exes.
Because this book... her 7 evil exes. And the reason is because this book is very much like an homage of sorts in video games. So a lot of the way that the story kind of moves forward and the references, a lot of it is very video game centric.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what happens. He beats up the boyfriends and he gets with her at the end.
He beats up the exes.
The exes. And that's like the very bare bones like summary of the plot. Boy meets girl, has to beat girl's exes. Boy does it. He's with the girl in the end. But I feel like Scott Pilgrim is a lot more than that. Like if you just boil it down to like the basic plot points, like you're missing the forest for the trees, or rather you're missing whatever. The story is very much about like the interpersonal relationships between the characters. It's about Scott realizing that he's actually a piece of shit. Like a lot of the books are about Scott as a bad boyfriend, as a bad friend, and all of these issues that he creates. And the creator actually made this very interesting distinction, because I think a lot of people's knee-jerk reaction would just be to call Scott an asshole. And in an interview, he actually clarified, he's like, no, I don't think Scott's an asshole. Scott is a fool because he isn't intentionally malicious. He is hurting people around him unintentionally, which I think is a very interesting distinction.
Do you think Edgar Wright chose Michael Cera because he was like, I need somebody who can portray a weird, disassociated little sociopath gremlin monster? Michael Cera, I got it. Do you think that was the thinking process?
I would not be surprised.
Okay. We'll talk
Michael
more
Cera,
about...
unfortunately, is not as conventionally attractive as Scott seems to be.
We'll talk more. I have so much to say about Michael Cera as the casting choice, but I suppose we'll talk about that when it comes to the movie.
Well, just to be clear, for those who haven't seen either, the books and the movie are pretty different from each other. The movie it kind of goes off in its own direction after a certain point. At first, it's very faithful.
Yeah.
But the books were not finished when the movie started production.
Also, they I think for the movie, and again, we'll talk about the movie later. I think for the movie, they really they kind of sanitized Scott Pilgrim as a protagonist. Yeah.
Yeah, they did. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think Scott is nearly as much of an a
asshole.
Difficult to to deal with.
I don't think he's as difficult in a parasocial relation. Asshole.
Yes, he's not
a terrible person.
He's not as much.
The only bad thing.
He's not more of a douchebag.
The only bad thing he has done in the movie is, be with Knife's Chow and not have the balls to break up with her.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's essentially what he apologizes for at the end, and that sort of completes his character in the movie. But in the books, he is so
Far
unlikable. He is like he on a very realistic, in a very realistic way. He reminds me of the worst friend you can have.
See, that's the thing, right? Like, Scott Pilgrim reminds you of that one guy. You know that guy. You have met Scott Pilgrim in your life. And if you haven't, maybe that guy is you.
I was going to say, he just reminded me of a younger me.
Oh, no. He's a leech. He pays no attention to what anyone else tells him. There's this one of my favorite moments when I think he helps Kim move into a new apartment, and he meets a friend of hers. And he's like, "Oh, wow, who are you?" And then Kim is like, I don't know what that guy's name is, but you have met this guy 4 times. And then he tells him his name. He makes a joke on his name. And then Kim is like, "Yeah, you made that joke last time when you met him." It's fucking... Like, okay, you said Ramona is the love of his life, but there's a scene where Ramona confronts him and is like, "What do you actually know about me? We've been together for 4 months." And Scott is like, you're mysterious? Like, that's all you got, motherfucker? Like,
no, but see, I'm wondering, at the end of the story, we learn that Gideon has been messing around with Scott's memories.
Somewhat.
Yeah,
somewhat.
I look at that. I'm like, is this like, how much of Scott being an asshole is him being an asshole, and how much is Gideon fooling around with his memories?
No.
Do we know that?
I think the only thing Gideon realistically did was when we have that flashback of Scott saving Kim from the quote-unquote evil Simon Lee. I think Gideon spiced up that memory to make it seem like it was more fantastical than what it was. I think that's the extent of
Why
what
would he
Gideon
do that?
did. Because he's bored and he felt like it.
No, see, I thought that, I read it as, well, Gideon has been making Scott an asshole. And when I read to try to have Ramona break up with him, and when I read it, I was like, you're kind of, if that's the case, you're kind of softballing this other story you've been telling here.
No, Gideon says that all he did was spruce up some memories. Like, that's all he did.
Oh, okay.
So the way that I'm going to make a video about this, but I guess I'll just talk about it here. I think that Scott's questionable memory retention is in fact like a sort of self-defense mechanism that he's developed in order to hide from himself the fact that he's a shitty person.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why in the final book, when he confronts Negascott, Negascott being like the evil version of him that coincidentally always seems to pop up when it's something related to his exes. Mm-hmm. When he accepts Negascott and they fuse together, that's when he remembers everything, because in that moment he finally understood that he needs to accept the shitty person that he is in order to move forward and be a better person.
Yeah. That makes sense.
So I kind of spoiled a big part of this video that I'm working on, but whatever.
You'll just use that audio, and you'll have me in the background be like, oh yeah.
Yeah. I'll even put in the video, like, featuring Acer aesthetics.
Just like random mumblings of some guy. I noticed in one of my old videos, I don't remember which ones, you can hear my neighbors talking to each other, like very, very softly in the background. I won't say which ones, because I don't want people to... it's like one of those things you can't unhear, but you can hear them, like, in Lithuanian or whatever, be like...
So, yeah, I think the thematic core or message of Scott Pilgrim is basically... we've all made mistakes. We've all fucked up. But that's no excuse to ignore them and to pretend that we didn't do them. because if we just act like they never happened, then we can't truly actually make any tangible strides forward as individuals. So it's important to remember the mistakes that we've made and to accept them as part of who we are. And we shouldn't beat ourselves up over them too much, because we still deserve, happiness and all that. But so long as we, again, keep in mind what we've done and we try to, move forward and be better people and to learn from our mistakes.
Yes, you can't live in on your gay roommate's. You can't sleep on his bed forever.
You can't be your gay roommate's bitch forever.
That's true.
I don't know. I guess for some reason I never arrived at the point where I forgave Scott. Like where I could accept that he made a change so that I could be happy for him at the end. Which I guess would be the point after, towards the end when Ramona vanishes and he's in depression. But he was so annoying about that. And it took him 4 or 5 months to even leave his house, basically. Where I'm like, get over yourself. Just, your problems aren't that huge. And I never reached that point where I thought he made a credible change. And that is the problem where, okay, I understand he's written as an asshole, but then you need to write him as a sympathetic asshole at some point, and I never got that out of him. Mm. Does that make sense?
I can see that. I can agree that there probably should have been more done to show Scott changed. I personally, there was enough there in the it towards the end, but I can see why you needed more. There was in an interview he actually mentioned that he had contemplated an ending where he doesn't end up with Ramona in the end, and that's because he had been building up Scott as this asshole, and he had thought about an ending where he doesn't really deserve to have a happy ending. But ultimately he decided against it because he felt that, the reader has been through this journey with Scott throughout this whole time. And, he felt that it would be, it made for a better ending to try and redeem Scott and to make him earn the ending where he gets to be with Ramona at the end. It's interesting to think about. Another thing that's also interesting is that since the books were still being written while the movie was also in production, the movie actually, not in any significant way, but there were aspects of the film that influenced the books. So
how so?
For example, Brian didn't really have an idea of what these characters sounded like. But then when he saw the actors and he heard what they sounded like, that started changing his perception of what the characters were like. There was also a couple of jokes from the movies that he took. So I believe the scene where Scott touches the back of the lesbian girl's leg and she like that was her weakness. That was something Brian took and gave it to Envy instead.
Oh. Interesting.
So, it wasn't anything huge, but there was little things here and there that that Brian took from the movie. I also think it's interesting because the movie takes place across a couple of days, while the books take place across several months.
Most of those months are just are his depression, though, right?
Yeah, there were some time skips as well.
Oh yeah.
By the end of the books, Knives Chow is a year older, which was always kind of a weird thing. The original ending of the book of the movie actually had Scott get back with Knives Chow,
What?
And yeah, Edgar Wright realized, actually, that's not a good idea because, like, he cheated on Knives, and even the actress said, like, it's a good idea that you changed the ending because, like, I knew that I wouldn't take him back.
No, but it's also like they don't actually have a relationship to get back to. Like she was fucking crazy because she'd never had a boyfriend before, and he was just kind of using her because he didn't want to be alone.
Yes,
that wasn't a relationship. What are you doing, Edgar Wright? Maybe he should.
Not only that he didn't want to.
Maybe he should
want to be alone. He wanted a relationship that's not complicated. So he basically dated a child.
Maybe he should have.
Yes.
Maybe he should Edgar Wright a better script. Am I right? Am I Edgar Wright?
Yes, you're absolutely Edgar Wright.
I feel like Knives' character makes more sense in the movie because she has less time to get disillusioned about him. It kind of makes sense that she would fawn over him for a little bit after getting dumped, as a sort of defense mechanism.
I really like the line at the end of the movie where she's like, "I'm too cool for you." Like that was really nice.
Yeah.
And she is. Michael Cera is not cool. I know we'll get some hate for saying this.
I do think that the books had her obsessed with him a little too long, but I did like that eventually she finally like got over him, and like even the idea of them getting back together, like the book was like so firmly rejected it. Like they had a moment where they kiss and they were like, but it was awful. And it was awful for you too.
That's right.
That was so good.
Can we?
But go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I wanted to change the topic.
I was just gonna say, I don't know who everyone else's favorite character was, but my favorite character was Kim.
I don't think I have a favorite character.
I really, really liked Kim. Just her facial expressions whenever, like, she's dealing with Scott, I was just like, mwah, chef's kiss. Like, I also thought, like, her relationship with Scott was the most interesting because she used to date him, and then he broke up with her in, like, the shittiest way possible. And she's, and he comes back into her life, and she's frustrated with how he's basically the same fucking person, just absolutely has not grown as a person at all, and she's just like continually like frustrated with him.
Yeah.
But there's still a part of her that still like cares for him. I think there's a lot going on between the two of them, and I just really like kind of like she felt like a cat, she was very pouty, and but occasionally she had these like moments of niceness that I think made her character a lot of fun.
She had one of my favorite lines, which was, "I feel bad that I'm about to die, but I don't feel bad that you're about to die, Scott."
Yeah. that was great.
I think maybe my favorite character in terms of just writing might be Envy.
Envy is really good.
Who really surprised me towards the end when she kind of let that whole pop star image fall and just kind of expressed that she's still not over Scott because Scott is like the last person who knows her real self before she became, a persona, which I found really interesting.
Yeah.
I that's the thing with this where the characters, it's very character centric, right? Like the plot, I said before, the plot is pretty simple. It's just, the beats I already went over before, but I think again what really makes this work is that all of the characters are, even if the character may not necessarily be the deepest, like young Neil's not a particularly deep character, but even he has like some good scenes and good lines. But I think what really makes it work is all the characters have interesting relationships with each other and with Scott, and I think it all kind of comes together to kind of to reinforce this message that I was talking about before, where you gotta learn to forgive yourself, but not fall back on like the old trappings and to make strides forward. And I again, that's why I think I like Kim so much, because I feel like she embodies that a lot as well. Her character, I think more than any other, well, her and Envy are the most embroiled with Scott and his past, and do the most in trying to reinforce that idea.
Yeah, because Scott is such a loser, it feel like you could definitely get the idea that all his friends have stuff going on for themselves. Like they have their own projects, they work, they have some kind of motivation that doesn't really involve him. They just support him when he needs it. But they just kind of, I feel like they kind of wander in and out of his perspective. Almost like coming back from, Wallace constantly comes with new boyfriends. Stephen Stills is working on the music, and you get the feeling that he is working on the music even in between scenes where he shows up with Scott.
Yeah, see, Stephen, it feels like he really cares about the band and the music, while Scott's just there because it's something for him to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, do you want to move on to talking about the movie, or does anyone have any other comments about the books?
Oh, I have some more comments. I feel like we barely covered the books so far.
I mean, yeah, okay, sure.
So one thing that I found weird, I don't know if Brian Lee O'Malley has commented on this, but it's just the fact that people are so non-phased by the fights. Like this is a very grounded story all in all. And then randomly it will switch into fucking overdrive.
Yeah.
And people will appear like throwing fire and lightning and summoning musical angels and doing all that crazy fucking shit. And Scott and the evil Axis will beat each other almost to death in public, and somehow nothing ever happens, which is clearly intentional, but it always threw me for a loop.
Well, I always got the impression that everyone was in on it, because there's even a scene like in the final book where Scott dies and he's brought back to life because he got a 1-up in like an earlier book, and his sister is calling her mom, and she's arguing with her mom, and then she's like, oh no, wait, Scott's back. And the mom said, see, I told you, he got a 1-up in volume 3.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying, but at the same time,
but like it's this random passers-by who are kind of cheering on the fight, even though like all the buildings are collapsing.
There's the fight between Envy and Ramona, and like people are cheering on Envy, and then there's one guy. It's like, can you two of you just make out? That kind of reminds me. There was one thing that aged very poorly, and I was kind of shocked every time it came up. Was they kept saying the R word? Like that's a very not socially acceptable word anymore. But I have to remember that when this book was written, at the time that was like a very like people just said that to insult people to get across like, yeah, you're being an idiot.
I feel like people still do that.
Yeah, it's not as bad as the N word or the F word.
It's not as bad as the N word, obviously, but like I feel like nowadays that's become far less socially acceptable. So every time I also am aware of it, yeah. Every time it popped up in the books, I was just like, oh, that's right. That's right. People used to say this. Okay. But yeah, it's not as bad as like the F word or the N word. But it was just something that kind of like I feel like if they were to re-release the books, they would probably omit that or they would change it. It's something that just struck me as very odd.
But so has Brian Lee O'Malley commented on this in some way? Like, does he explain why it just happens? Why the logic of the story suddenly goes full video game mode?
Because it's fun.
I believe his intention was, at the time, especially when he came up with Scott Pilgrim, his life was going nowhere. Like, and he wanted Scott Pilgrim to be like a world that was more awesome than the one he was currently in. Like he wanted like this, basically like the same world he was living in, but just way better. I think that's it. You know, like I think a lot of Scott Pilgrim is him injecting a bunch of stuff that he personally really loves. You know, video games and anime and music and all that stuff.
Okay, so I'm reading too much into it.
I mean, well, what are you reading into it?
No, I was wondering if there's some, I don't know,
if there's
some
like a deeper
thought about it. I also
there might. I mean, I don't know. There might be, but as far as I know, I think he just did it because he enjoyed it.
I was also thinking about what the evil X's sort of represent on a subtextual level. And
so, on like a more obvious level, it represents like the MacGuffins that you would find in video games. Like, oh, you have to get the Triforce pieces in Zelda, or oh, you have to get the crystals in Final Fantasy,
or you have to beat the robot masters in Mega Man, which is a much better analogy.
That too.
Sure, yeah, because the people themselves aren't MacGuffins. Like they're not objects that you need to collect. It's just you need to beat them to save the damsel.
Yes. If there is like something deeper than that, I'm not sure. There probably is, but like.
So I was thinking that it's either, or maybe I don't know if I'm reading too much into this anyway. But I was thinking maybe it represents the anxiety of dating a new person and like comparing to their ex relationships. Comparing to what they've already gone through and how you stack up against that. Or maybe is just, I think this gets kind of clear towards the end. It's just the baggage of previous relationship that you bring into a new one, which is clearly the case with Gideon and also with Envy.
Yeah, especially since Ramona at the end, she kind of admits that like a part of her will never like let go of Gideon, but she's at a point in her life where she can move on from him and she doesn't need him anymore. Like even though she'll never like truly forget him, she's past him now. And I think that in particular is like it speaks very deeply to I think something a lot of us can relate to, of like these relationships that even though we may be past them now and it's not something that actively affects us anymore, it's not something that we'll ever truly forget about because it was part of our formative years and it was a relationship that had a profound effect on us. I mean, obviously that's only relatable to people that have dated, but yeah.
Dumb.
I'm sorry, just gonna point it out. But I, to your point, I do think it also deals with like maybe not sexual insecurity specifically, but it does deal with like some form of insecurity, where like it reminds me of the movie Chasing Amy, where that movie is all about the main character's feelings of insecurity being with a partner that is far more not advanced, but just someone that has been through more sexually promiscuous situations that made the main character feel very inadequate. And the problem that he couldn't get over was like she didn't care about that. She cared about him, and that wasn't good enough. And that's, I feel like Scott Pilgrim in a way is kind of like not retelling that story, obviously, because it does it very differently. But like, I do feel like it's touching on similar topics, but like it takes it in a more hopeful direction where, Scott is able to get over the fact that like, Ramona, I think it's less about Scott getting over that. I think it's more about Ramona getting over the fact that she was with all these shitty guys and she can finally be with someone that, at least at that point in the story, is better than the other boyfriends. Because I feel like for most of Scott Pilgrim, Scott's not really any better than most of those evil exes.
See, but Scott is subtly an asshole, while the evil exes are all supervillains.
Yes,
and like Scott kind of rightfully, when they appear, is like, "What, you dated that guy? Really?" Because they're all like they're complete clowns.
No, yeah, they're all shitheads. Like, I feel like the only one I could think of that wasn't like that bad was probably the first one. He just,
but
he wasn't
she
like
dated
outwardly
him.
evil.
She dated him in like 7th grade, and he still has the hots for her.
Yeah.
yeah. He still hasn't gotten over her, which is pretty pathetic.
Also, I thought didn't they just date for like a week or something?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty pathetic.
It is pathetic, but like I'm just saying, he isn't as evil as some of the other ones. Then again, like the second one, he just made like shitty movies. He wasn't like that bad of a guy.
No, she dumped him because she met Todd.
Yes.
Yeah, Ramona was also part of the whole them turning into evil exes. And I mean, the character logic kinda breaks down because a lot of the characters are very realistic, but then the evil exes, I mean, no realistic character would ever fucking build a league and come in to beat up Scott Pilgrim, So the guy has to still be obsessed with Ramona. Otherwise he wouldn't show up and the story wouldn't work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously this is not a realistic story, right? Like
it
there
is,
are
though.
realistic
In a lot of parts it very much is.
And no, yeah, and a lot like yes, of course, the relationship stuff, a lot of that is very realistic. But there's also a bunch of stuff that's completely off the like, dude, vegan powers.
Yeah, no.
Vegan power, the vegan police.
This is such a good scene, man. What do you mean chicken parmesan isn't vegan? What?
Gelato, bitch.
Milk and
That's
eggs,
why I'm almost
bitch.
willing. Sorry, Isa.
Milk and eggs, bitch.
Yeah. That's why I'm almost willing to just, take the evil exes as a metaphor. As like maybe they never even showed up. Maybe it was just Scott Pilgrim. I don't know.
Tripping balls.
No, just dealing with his own anxieties or something.
Okay. That's kind of like in Yakuza Like a Dragon, where the main character loves Dragon Quest so much that he imagines that he's like actually like whenever there's a fight, he imagines himself as like a knight, and like the enemies that he's facing are like the creatures from Dragon Quest, when in reality he's just a regular dude fighting like a hobo.
Yeah.
So I don't think that was the intention, but I think that is a really interesting way of looking at it. Huh.
They just feel they just don't feel like the rest of the characters. The exes.
I mean, but I think on some level, the fantastical stuff like is metaphorical. It is like symbolic on some level. Like even if it is meant to be taken literally in like the canon of the world, it is still like representative of, you know, of relationships and anxieties and insecurities.
Yeah, it has to be. You can't treat it completely logically because logically the police would show up and probably take Scott Pilgrim into custody.
The police would probably also be like superpowered, and they would like, you know, they would shoot lasers from their guns or something. But like, especially when you look at Gideon, like his final form or whatever is like this completely ridiculous, like muscle bound, like super villain from like he literally looks like the final boss of like a Final Fantasy game.
Or a Persona game.
Or a Persona game. And I think that represents, particularly more so for Ramona, it kind of represents how much that relationship like affected her, right? Like it feels like this huge thing that was like a big part of her life. And it's this like negative force that is still dragging her down to this day. And it's something... You know, and that's why throughout the entirety of the books, she named the cat after Gideon. She's, at random intervals, she's got like the lines around her head, or like her head is shining or whatever. Like that's representative of Gideon still having an effect on her after all these years, and her not being able to get over him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah. I'm not sure what her dating twins is representative of.
The duality of man. I don't know.
I really like the joke though, where he asked like, "Did you date them both at the same time?" And she's like, "I don't have to answer that." Did you have any other niggling complaints spoken?
That wasn't a complaint.
No, but you said that you had like one big complaint and a couple of other minor ones.
You said you had a giant laundry list of issues with his story. Let us have it.
Yes. I hated it from start to finish. Another complaint I had was just that that one character, Lisa. Yeah, Lisa.
Mm.
I didn't like her because she felt like a plot device.
I liked her.
She just kind of randomly showed up at the point where Scott and Ramona were kind of fighting for somewhat petty reasons. And she was kind of just there to, let Scott Pilgrim be with another girl so that he eventually realizes he needs to come back to Ramona. I don't know. She felt very unnaturally shoehorned into the story for me.
Well, I also felt like, yeah, I can see that. She definitely felt a little thrown in. But like, I also felt that up to that point, I think the reader also needed to see that Ramona was invested in Scott, and to see Ramona get jealous was important. I think maybe Ramona getting jealous of Kim might have worked, but then again,
I think so too.
Yeah, I think that would have made things a little more interesting because she also really likes Kim. So I think that having kind of like a conflicting sort of feeling of like, she really likes Kim personally as a friend, but she might also be jealous of Kim because she used to date Scott, and there might be lingering feelings, which there are. So I think that would have made things more interesting rather than shoehorning Lisa. So I can agree with that. Lisa's character is not especially great.
And that's why she's also not in the movie at all. And it just, I have trouble believing that Scott Pilgrim dated all of these women anyway, and then just to add another one who just comes onto him for no good reason, that was stretching believability.
I think it was more so because they knew each other in high school. And they were friends for a while. Like they knew each other for quite some time.
Yeah, I know.
I think it was more so that like there were these feelings that were developing that she didn't quite, they never really got resolved. So I think it's more so that, like it was about those feelings not having anywhere to go, and she needed to kind of put a cap on that. But then again, she could have existed solely in that flashback and that would have been fine. But I think the most important thing about that flashback, though, is that it's returned to in the final book, and then we find out that a lot of it was Scott making it up. And what's really interesting about that, though, is that it's not. Again, there was the thing about Gideon, sprucing up memories, but I think it's also the reason why Scott made all that up is because it wasn't intentional on Scott's part. I think Scott's memory being what it is him unintentionally trying to hide the fact that he's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So I think that flashback and us returning to that flashback in the final book is like one of the most important parts of the story.
Okay.
All right. Do we want to talk about the movie?
Yes.
All right. How did you guys feel about the movie?
We already talked about that. I have a list of the cast in front of me, and I'm wondering, should I start naming these actors and we decide whether they're good for a good casting choice or a bad one?
Well, wait. We didn't really talk about if you guys liked the movie or not.
Yeah, we didn't really.
Oh, fine.
Okay, Boken, did you like the movie?
I liked it.
But you can't say anything about the cast.
Okay. I saw a tweet randomly a couple weeks ago, I think, that said. Actually, this is going to sound very negative, but it said something along the lines of the movie turned a lot of these characters into cardboard cutouts. And that is something I totally agree with. Like, it just...
Yes, like
the characters have no more depth. Any of them. But I think
I agree with that.
I think that is part of just a movie being a movie and being only 90 minutes long, or 2 hours in this case, I think. And for what it is, I think it did a marvelous job translating the comic into movie form.
Yeah.
The only thing not the only thing, but what I did dislike are the video game effects, because they're all in that lame, outdated 8-bit soundscape, which is...
I mean, to be fair, Scott Pilgrim mostly references, like, that era of video games.
Yeah, but I guess, I don't even... Doesn't he play GBA? Or Nintendo DS or something?
He has a
PSP
in the comics.
Well, he gets a PSP in the book.
Well, yeah. So anyone, like, this is a mid or late 2000s movie, and it's just anyone who's even remotely into gaming knows that 8-bit shit is completely outdated.
It's written
and
by
that is something that your grandparents would use, or your
how
parents
old is
would use.
How old is the guy who wrote this? Is he like 60?
I don't think so. He's 31 by the last book.
Oh yeah, he should know better then.
Well, I mean, he didn't make the movie.
Yeah, he did kind of use the also those references like a high score and a level up, which is also not that common anymore. But he did not make the movie.
He's currently 42 years old.
Damn, bitch! He's almost dead. He's so old. I wasn't bothered by the retro style. I think that's a dumb complaint, Bogan. I thought it was brave. I thought it was brave to play the Zelda theme while Scott Pilgrim is taking a piss. I thought that was an inspired choice.
Those are all the most obvious. That's something that you would use for mass appeal. So that even your fucking dad understands, oh, this is a video game reference. I know Super Mario.
I gotta say though, when the bass battle started, he was actually playing the bass line for the battle theme of Final Fantasy IV. I thought that was pretty cool, especially since that specific Final Fantasy was referenced in the books.
He even referenced that in a band meeting earlier, didn't he? He's like, "Oh, look, I finally learned this Final Fantasy song on bass."
Yeah.
He starts playing it.
Did. You're right. He mentioned it in the movie too. I mean, that's a bit of a deeper cut.
True.
Yeah.
But I see this movie as just a fun romp. You know, like, yeah, of course, it's not as deep as the books. I don't think that's a realistic expectation to like be able to convey the same level of subtext across like 6 comic books into like one movie, especially since the books weren't done when they were making the movie. But I think it's a pretty fun movie. I think the visual effects still hold up pretty well for the most part. The fighting is really good, and it's pretty funny. Like, I think the casting is really good.
We'll talk about that in a bit.
Acer, you wanted to get
for
into
the
that?
most part.
Okay, so
For the most part.
I'd like to say before we get to the casting that this is in the absolute correct hands director-wise. I think they managed to bring out the sort of sensibilities of the comics. I think that translated really well into like that sort of snappy, really quick wit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is also, I think, part of why the books are so easily readable, because the dialogue just flows, and it has a lot of character and personality, and it's just a joy to read, honestly. And I think it's amazing to me that they managed to mostly just copy that one-to-one into the movie without it feeling forced.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's honestly pretty incredible how the movie is able to carry the spirit so effortlessly. Like it's very impressive.
All right. So, the cast. Are we ready to do this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Ellen Wong as Knives Chow. I hated this. She was 25 when she filmed this.
I mean, okay.
Okay. That's hold on. That's not okay, Daniel. She's 4 years older than Michael Cera, and she's supposed to play like a 16-year-old girl. She's just like clearly not.
She's Asian. She ages differently. Okay.
That's fucking racist. That's fucking racist. Also, she's clearly.
I wasn't gonna say that. I think she looked fairly young in the role.
She
though.
looks like she's in her mid-20s. She does not look like a teenager.
She doesn't look like she's 18. But
She does not look. She did not look like she was the right age for that role.
She did look
I mean,
bit minimally too old. Yes.
Minimally too old.
I think saying you hate this is a bit of a stretch.
I hate it.
That
I
wasn't
hate it.
that offensive.
Her face.
It really wasn't.
Her face is too developed to play a teenager. You know what? When you stop being a teenager, you get like a jawline, and like your face starts to harden, and you start looking like an adult. That she doesn't look like a teenager. She looks so. She was really good. She had like the right energy, but she's way too old for this role.
See, I would say she had too much energy. Honestly, like Knives Chow wasn't that hyperactive.
No.
She was hamming it up a bit too much. That was my problem.
I think it would have worked if she hadn't looked like a 50-year-old woman.
50. Okay.
I had to ask though, does this mean that when she had the highlights punched out of her hair that you were like, fuck yeah?
Which one of us?
You, because you clearly hated her in the role.
Yeah, I was like, yes, that's good.
Punch the shit out of her. That's such a good scene.
That is such a good detail, yeah.
I like that they.
That's one of the few moments I actually preferred the movie than the books, because like young Neil in that scene, he's like, his performance is so good. He's like, you punched the highlights out of her hair.
Okay, do you guys know who Mae Whitman is?
No.
She's Roxanne. She's the girlfriend, the lesbian.
The lesbian.
She also played Anne in Arrested Development, who was also Michael Cera's girlfriend.
In which order are you reading these?
I'm listing.
Yeah, this is
just like I don't want to get to the main cast right away. I don't want to spoil it.
okay. Sure.
I think she was fine.
She was good, yeah.
Yeah.
And I also not only she was good, like she was very, like she just looked like her character.
Yeah.
I gotta say though, it was a shame that they couldn't squeeze in the line from the books where Ramona tells Scott, "Don't worry, we didn't make out that much."
Speaking of looking like the character though, Mark Webber as Stephen Stills, they got his like existential tiredness. The actor who played, he looked like he was just 10 minutes away from blowing his brains out in every scene he was in. I love that casting.
Man, I think I disagree.
Really?
I think Stephen Stills looked way cooler in the comic, in my opinion.
Interesting.
No, he looked tired.
Yeah, in the books. Hold on, I'm gonna have to type this out because I do want to look at images again.
This is so unprofessional, Bogan. There's thousands of people, tens of thousands of people listening to this, depending on
Our
you.
adoring fans.
Depending
clamoring.
on you to have your shit together.
I think Stephen Stills in the movie looks a bit too dorky. While he was like super cool in the books.
Oh, this is outrageous. How did you like Johnny Simmons as young Neil? Fine?
He was fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, he nailed that one scene with the highlights. Like that was the one scene he had to get right, and he did. So A-okay in my book.
Yeah, he was good.
Okay. Jason Schwartzman as Gideon Graves. I think this was a good choice.
That was a good choice. He gets across that like
Schmuck,
shit-eating, fucking grin, smarminess, like perfect.
Bogan?
I wouldn't say perfect. I would say good. I do think Gideon in the books looks more handsome. Where like in the books, I get why Ramona was into him so much.
The thing is, though, Jason Schwartzman, okay. I'm looking at a photo of him now. He is a really handsome guy. He's just hidden behind a bunch of ugly makeup in that movie.
Yeah, he didn't look like that in the movie.
I think in the movie they played up his sliminess a bit too much.
He's the chewing gum. Oh yes, he knows what he's doing with that chewing gum. He looked. Ooh! I've never hated a man with chewing gum so much. Okay, Brandon Routh, Superman as Todd Ingram. He was good.
Hold on.
What? Todd Ingram?
Oh, the vegan. Todd's vegan, dude. Don't you know? He's vegan. Oh, he can do
that means
moves.
He's better than everyone else. I'm sure that was your favorite part, Boken, when they were talking about how great the vegan was and how he's like a better person than the rest of the cast.
Yeah, I did. It was really funny. Like also just the fact that, wait, that doesn't give you superpowers. And then he's like, well, if you knew the science behind it.
I loved that they got Thomas Jane to play one of the vegan police officers. What is he doing in this movie?
Like, why not?
Aubrey Plaza as Julie Powers. She was really good.
I loved this. I was like, yes. I'm a big fan of Aubrey Plaza. Like when I saw the movie again and realized that she was in it, I was like, holy shit. Amazing casting. She's just so good.
She didn't even need to do any acting because she just naturally has that resting bitch face. And that's all you need for this character, and it's so good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of actors here who've gone on to do like incredibly, like they've gone on to have genuine careers.
Yes.
But yeah, Bogan.
This is the part that it kind of threw me off. Because I know Aubrey Plaza as that character and other things, like in Park and Rec, for example. And so when I watched this, it felt like they had cast her just to do herself. You know, like sort of a cameo, I guess. But it doesn't make sense because this movie came out before she got really popular for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was just my warped perspective on it.
Yeah, I was going to say, because like Parks and Rec started in like 2009, but I don't think her character was introduced until like season 2 or 3 or something like that. So
No, she's in it.
From the beginning?
Maybe not exactly from the beginning, but I haven't only seen 2 seasons, I think.
Okay, because
she was in it, definitely.
Okay.
But I know she's also in other TV shows playing the same part.
At the very least, I don't think her character gets like super established until like later on in the show.
Yeah, she's a side character in the beginning.
Yeah, but no, Julie Powers was a huge bitch in the books. She was. I mean, there's even the joke that she was such a bitch that she turned Stephen gay.
How do we feel about Alison Pill as Kim Pine?
Good casting.
Here's the thing. They changed the character. She's bad. This is not a good performance of the comic character. No. But for what she needs to do in the movie, I'm like, okay, this. No,
works. Not her fault.
She does have the resting bitch face. It's not Kim. It's not book Kim.
You think she has resting? Yeah. She has like resting actual psychopath. She looks like Charlize Theron in Monster, where she like shaved her eyebrows and played that lady who killed all those guys.
Yeah, even Edgar Wright admitted that Kim was not in the movie enough.
Yeah,
and because of that, the Kim that we got in the movie is like a far cry from how she is in the books. But that's not the actress's fault.
No.
So I think the casting itself is fine, and she did the best with what she had.
Yeah, that's true. Brie Larson as Envy Adams. I love Brie Larson. I thought she was really fun in this.
Perfection, I would say. This was actually I had seen an image of her in that role, and without even knowing who she's playing, the moment I got to Envy in the books, I was like, "This is Brie Larson for sure." Like, no way is that not the same character.
Actually, yeah, I have to agree. I was every time I see her in like the white coat or whatever, and she embodies the character more than the character. Like, fucking nailed it.
I don't think she's the best cast. She's one of like the top 3.
Okay. I'm curious to think who you think is better.
Kieran Culkin is the best cast, but we'll get to him when we get to him.
Really?
Okay.
We'll get to him when we get to him.
All right.
We have Anna Kendrick as Stacey Pilgrim. She's not in the movie nearly enough, considering who that actress has become. But it's like Audrey Plaza. It's like Audrey Plaza. It's like Audrey. It's like Audrey Plaza. It's like, yes, perfect casting. You got it absolutely right.
Yes. Yeah, but she like she's not in the books much either. Like, I think you can count on like one or two hands like how many pages or panels she's on. Like, not very much.
Yeah, I mean more just like I like her performance, and I would have liked to see more of her. But
her performance was very good for the limited amount of screen time she had.
We have Chris Evans as Lucas Lee. I love this.
Very good.
Very good casting. No complaints.
I would say.
Brian actually said in an interview that his original conception of Lucas Lee was to be like the Ryu to like Scott's like Ken, or no, wait, that's the other way around.
Whatever.
Scott is supposed to be Ryu. Scott's supposed to be Ryu, and Lucas Lee is supposed to be Ken. But he ended up just making like a better version of Scott.
Yeah, because like Ryu and Ken are they're rivals because they can defeat each other. You know, they're on the same level.
they're equals, but
Equals, yeah.
with different parameter. They're different parameters. You know, like Ryo's a bit slower but stronger. Ken is a bit weaker but faster.
Well, also
Yeah.
Ken is a millionaire, and Rio is a bum.
Just walking around barefoot.
See, we'll talk about Michael Cera as Scott Pilgrim in a bit, but I think Chris Evans. This was like just months before he got the role as Captain America. Chris Evans, like 5 or 7 years before making this movie, he would have been right for Scott Pilgrim. Like, that's who you cast. You catch, like, because he had always played these sort of smarmy assholes. He's maybe a bit too attractive to play Scott Pilgrim, but if you think of him in like, Not Another Teen Movie, or one of those shit movies he did before he became a real actor, I think that's the right way to do Scott Pilgrim.
Was he always this buff?
No,
he needs to be less buff for Scott.
I don't think he was that buff. As I think the Lucas Lee performance, it's largely the thing about him is he has really wide shoulders. So even when he's not like packing on a lot of muscles, he just comes across as really big. And he's pretty tall. He's not like super tall, but he just has a big figure because he's got such wide shoulders and he's kind of tall. But I mean more so in the performance. Like that's how I think Scott should have been portrayed. But I really liked Chris Evans as Lucas Lee. I didn't love the characterization in the movie, but I think he did really well with what he had. And now we have the best.
Hold on, I was really sad about his death. Like, that was one of my favorite scenes in the books. It's just when he starts grinding down the rails, and then he slowly keeps taking on speed, and it's like, no, no, and then he explodes, and I was missing that from the movie.
Do you guys think Chris Evans and Michael Cera are like, they can beat each other, but because they're equals? Or do you think Chris Evans is 1,000 times better than Michael Cera?
Chris Evans could like crush Michael Cera with a fart.
Okay, the best cast, the Kieran Culkin as Wallace Wells. He just is the exact character from the comic. He got it perfectly. Am I wrong?
Yeah, I gotta agree. He really is just so good in the role. He's so fucking funny. Just his face is fucking funny.
I love when everybody in the bar, like when Ramona and Knives are meeting and everybody's eyes are locking and he's just looking at that other guy.
I just can't look at any other Culkins and not see Macaulay Culkin. It's a mental blockade of mine.
Is it because they all look exactly the same?
Yeah, and it throws me off whenever I see them in a movie. I watched a sort of a documentary movie, not really, but on the black metal scene in Scandinavia about like Burzum. I don't know if you guys know that, but I think it also had Kieran Culkin or maybe another one of them. I don't know. And it was like
they blur together.
The whole time I was thinking about that. It was a good movie, but I can't take my mind off it.
Yeah.
Before you get to the main cast, though, I want to give a shout out to the first ex-boyfriend. I don't know what that character's name is.
Satya, his Matthew Patel.
Matthew
the Indian
Patel.
guy?
And that's the actor?
No, the actor is Satya Baba.
Okay. That was perfect casting, in my opinion.
That was really good casting.
Exactly like the fucking books.
The thing is, if you Google an image of him, like that was all done with makeup. He just looks like a regular guy.
I guess so.
But yeah, that's like an honorable mention. Okay, so Mary Elizabeth Winstead as Ramona Flowers. I hated this.
What?
Yeah.
Why?
Because I don't think she's anything like Ramona. She's just like, she always looks like she's kind of sad and confused. She's weird in this movie, and I'm not a fan of it. I'm not wrong, so there's no point in trying to argue.
Maybe, all right, maybe I'm biased, but like when I first saw this movie back in 2010, had a huge crush on her. So I'm obligated to disagree.
Has he done anything like else?
I don't know.
Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. Oh no. 10 Cloverfield Lane. Oh, she was in a Good Day to Die Hard.
Yes, she was.
Oh no. Why does she have like such a shitty career? Oh, maybe because she was a bad casting choice.
So I need to bring this up because this is something that I've carried with me, and I need to get this out. I need to bitch about this. So I'm sure both of you know who Angry Joe is.
Yes.
I distinctly remember when this movie came out and he reviewed it. One of the complaints he had about the fucking movie was he said, I don't understand why Scott Pilgrim is obsessed with Ramona Flowers. Knives Chow is way hotter.
But
I mean, okay.
It's almost like it's not about that. It's almost like maybe you don't judge people on their appearances, Angry Joe.
That's good. I think
that's a weird complaint because it's not like she's not very pretty, you know?
I think she's
pretty, but
I think she's very, very cute, but
do you think she
regardless.
Do you think she embodies the character well?
I can see what you mean. She's a bit more mellow.
Yeah.
But also, you know, it's just the movie doesn't have her character really.
Yeah.
I think at this point in the books, though, like, her character wasn't as firmly established yet.
Possibly. Like, maybe...
But I do get what you're saying. Like, I don't think her casting is as pitch perfect as, like, Kieran Culkin or Brie Larson. Like, I feel like those castings are, like, chef's kiss. I don't feel that strongly about the casting for her, even though I really like her. It does feel like a different take on the character compared to like it being perfect.
Sure. All right, fine. Are we?
I don't think it's bad.
Are we ready? Okay, I think. See, the thing is, I don't know then if my issue is with the casting or with the characterization, because she's not bad in the movie as this version of the character,
but this version of the character is very hollow compared to the books.
If she'd been given the role of the original character, maybe she could have done something with that.
Yes, I think that's a fair point. Like, because the movie, that one of the problems I have with the movie is that it does feel like it's cramming way too much, you know, all at once. And I think it is remarkable that the movie is as good and as coherent as it is, but because it is trying to do too much all at once, the characters, as we discussed earlier, do suffer as a result. And I think she suffers most of all.
See, but I think this is just our perspective because we have read the books. I think they've made very smart cuts and rewrites to the point where this, if you just watch it as its own movie, it's still a cohesive story.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Sure.
Yes.
I'm looking at Wikipedia right now. Kieran Culkin has been nominated for a Primetime Emmy for something called Succession and 3 Golden Globe Awards. Is he like a serious actor
he's
now?
on Succession, okay.
I did not know that.
Succession is an HBO show that people are talking about right now.
Oh, Brian Cox is in it. I know this show. I hear good things about this show. Brian Cox is in it. Anyways. The worst casting in the entire movie. Michael Cera, my mortal enemy. What was going on there?
I don't think the casting was that bad for Michael Cera. I mean, who the fuck else would do Scott Pilgrim and do him well?
He didn't do Scott Pilgrim. He did Michael Cera. That's the one-trick pony actor you got there.
See,
I mean, I guess you're not totally wrong, but at the same time, again, who would do Scott Pilgrim?
Just like a real actor.
What do you mean as opposed to a fake actor.
As opposed to Michael Cera. He's so bad in it. Like, I can forgive Mary Elizabeth Winstead as, well, this is, a different take on the character. Michael Cera, he's not, like, there's no pretension that he's even trying to play Scott Pilgrim. It's just Michael goddamn Cera. He keeps doing this, and people like you, who make apologies, you're the reason he keeps getting away with this.
Me, I'm to blame.
But as we already said, this is also just not Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah.
And I feel like as its own performance, it fit the movie well.
Ugh, but as its own performance, it's just Michael Cera, and I hate him.
I'm not
and
sure.
I've
never seen him in anything else.
You haven't seen Arrested Development? He's good in
No,
Arrested Development, actually.
Have you seen Superbad?
Where he also plays Michael Cera?
No.
He's bad. He's bad. Oh, but he's playing. He's just doing his own thing. I know, and his thing is bad. It was fun in Arrested Development when he was a weird little 12-year-old, but he's a grown man now, and it's uncomfortable to watch him play characters. He looks uncanny when he moves, when he talks. He doesn't feel human.
He does have a very annoying voice.
It's like Mark Zuckerberg. It's like, are you pretending to be a person?
Okay, but at the same time, you have to admit, Scott Pilgrim is a loser. So don't you think it's apt that it's Michael Cera?
No, see, there's a difference between being a loser, which Scott Pilgrim absolutely is, and being a monster, which Michael Cera is.
No, Scott Pilgrim is a monster.
Scott Pilgrim is kind of a monster as well.
He's not playing he's not playing Scott Pilgrim.
I mean, he cheats on Knives Chow. The way he broke up with Kim was horrendous.
Yeah. Okay, but did that come? Okay, so in the comic, that comes across as like, well, he's kind of a douchebag. In the movie, It just comes across as he's too neppish and too much of a bitch and a coward to actually like. I can't do it. I'm Michael Cera. I have a crush on you.
I can't say I love you.
Do you know?
I'm lesbians with you.
Do you know Pac-Man, who was originally Pac-Man? It's me, Michael Cera. It's terrible. It's terrible.
It doesn't bother me that much. Like that scene where he comes up to Ramona for the first time at the party and tries to tell that story, and then it's just like, okay, I'm gonna go now. Yeah, okay, bye. It's just it had the same fucking energy. It made me laugh so much.
No, it did not have the same. In the movie, it came across like, wow, that was fucking sad. In the book, it was like, oof, boy, you struck out. You struck out, man. I don't know. You get somebody else to play this character.
Who?
Just an actor. There are actors in the world. You hire one of them.
You don't even have an answer. You don't even have an answer. You're just.
I'm not casting this. I'm not casting it. Damn it! I'm just saying. Michael Cera, no. Get somebody. Get somebody else.
James Gandolfini to do it, and he's an actor.
No, you get it. Like when you're casting, you like go, hey, the world. We need an actor for this.
Oh my god, I think I would unironically love James Gandolfini as Scott Pilgrim.
Wasn't he dead by the time this happened?
Oh, was he?
I don't know. 2010? Was he dead? No, he died in like 2015, 16?
Let me check.
He wouldn't have played the character regardless. I think we can.
Okay, he passed away in 2013.
Well, he could have done it.
I'm just trying to imagine, like, Tony Soprano just bumbling into the Scott Pilgrim scene. Hey, what's going on?
Hey, can you get me some the gabagoo?
Okay, I'm looking at, like, fan casting lists right now. I have, like, fucking Miles Teller as Scott Pilgrim. That wouldn't work.
He treats Knives Chow as Guma.
What are nerdy characters from that era? Nerdy actors from that era.
Here's somebody suggesting Tom Holland. I don't think
Fuck Tom Holland.
No, like he sucks, and I
Well,
hate him.
Been, like,
he would have been too
like
young.
Sperm during the production of this movie.
He's not that young.
I mean,
He was literally in his dad's ball sack when they were making this movie.
Actual Tom Holland would probably be okay in this.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, you get somebody, I don't know, maybe Michael Cera is just, he sucks.
I think you have a personal hatred of Michael Cera that's clouding your judgment.
I don't think I do. I think I'm very measured about this.
Michael Cera has a goblin quality that Scott Pilgrim does not have.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Like, Scott Pilgrim is at least supposed to be kind of charming and fun to be around. And Michael Cera is just a nasally bitch.
Yeah. Maybe you get, like...
Yeah.
I'm wondering, Quicksilver, Evan Peters. Maybe you get him to play Scott Pilgrim.
I guess so. But
yeah.
Okay, hold on. No. You need to name actors from that time.
Yeah, Evan Peters.
Well, isn't he like 18?
No, he's surely in his 40s by now.
In his 40s?
Michael Cera is 37.
Oh, Jesus
no, Evan Peters is 35. He could have done it. He should have done it. I've solved it. Either him or Ezra Miller, the greatest actor of our generation.
Ezra Miller?
The Flash.
Oh, that guy. Oh, no. No.
You could have had a scene where he walks up to Ramona and he starts choking the shit out of her.
Jesus.
He's super bad as Flash.
In the Justice League movie, I think he's good in like the Snyder Cut. He's better in the Snyder Cut. I think that was largely reshoot issues. But I think he gets Barry Allen. He's like a fine cast for that. He's a bit annoying, but that's what you get. But yeah, they should have gotten Evan Peters, a real actor, instead of loser Michael Cera, a fake actor.
Hold on, nerdy actors from the 2000s.
Evan Peters. I already fixed this for us. Oh, I already fixed it.
Jesse Eisenberg?
No. He has the same goblin quality. Not to the same extent, but he's also like a terrible goblin. Here's somebody saying Tobey Maguire? That wouldn't work. He'd be way too old.
Well, okay, whatever.
Hey, you get a young Robert Downey Jr. would have done this right. He was a total scumbag. But he would have been too old. Evan Peters, that's the only one.
Oh, what about Elijah Wood?
Nah, he's too weird.
He looks too innocent.
He looks too weird. He looks like a frog, like Tobey Maguire. I like him, but no.
How about Joseph Gordon-Levitt?
No. Oh, well, actually, maybe he could have. Yeah, probably. He doesn't look the part,
I don't know.
But I think he could have done it. I think Evan Peters would have been better, though.
He was in 500 Days of Summer, right?
Yeah.
I heard that was a good movie.
He was also in
This
Inception.
is not relevant to the topic of discussion, Daniel.
Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to remember what he's done.
He was in Inception. He's Robin in The Dark Knight Rises. He was in Third Rock from the Sun, I think.
I don't know if I see him as Scott Pilgrim, though.
I think he could do it, but I wouldn't want him to do it.
Yeah, I don't know. All right, are we done with the cat talking about the cat?
Yeah. I don't have much more to say about the movie. Excuse me. A little detail I liked was that they added a scene where Knives and Scott play Dance Dance Revolution or whatever that was. And they actually bring that back. when they use it to defeat the evil villain at the end, which I
Oh,
thought,
yeah, that was a cool detail.
which I thought was a very nice touch, because also Knives and Scott kind of have an ongoing relationship in this movie more than they have in the book.
See, I hated that Knives stuck around in the story as much as he did. Like in that final fight, I was like, what are you even doing there? You have no place being in this movie anymore. Get lost. You're too old for this character.
Again, you have to judge this as its own story, I think.
Yeah, sure. And I'm saying, get out of the story. You're just making this... There's too many characters on stage already.
But it's the central conflict. He needs to apologize to both women to become a better character.
I suppose, but I don't care. Just... How did you feel about the movie and the ending of the movie? It's weird.
The ending of the movie is similar to the books.
It's such a weird, like, hey, maybe we can try again. Are you leaving? I'll go with you. I'm Michael Cera.
I honestly would have... I was ready for him to get together with Knives at that point.
Why?
Because-
No, that would have been bad.
I'm not sure, because I feel like Ramona's backstory wasn't explored enough for me. For the sort of, oh no, I trust you, let's get, like, let's leave our trauma behind us. That whole thematic thing of the books didn't really come through in the movie.
But he basically cheats on her.
Okay.
They
Wow.
had nothing. They had nothing in common. They
Everyone-
didn't have a relationship.
Like like he cheats on her in the beginning of the movie, right? Like I don't think it's I don't think it's right for them to get back together in the end after he did something like that to her.
Okay, I guess that's true. I guess I would have been fine if they just all went their separate ways and learned something.
I think that would
What
have
do you-
been, I think that would have made more sense for the film compared to the books.
What do you have against Scott Pilgrim ending up with Ramona Bogan?
I just don't think Ramona's character was realized enough for that to feel worthwhile.
Do you guys think that Mary Elizabeth Winstead broke new ground for girls coloring their hairs in that 2010 era? I feel like she did a lot to normalize
possibly.
that.
Possibly. And if she did, I'm very grateful.
Oh, you're one of those guys, huh?
Hell yeah.
Bogan hates women with colored hair.
No, that's not.
And on that note...
Let's end it quickly.
All right. I think that's it. So I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Cool shit. Boken, what do you have for us on the next extravaganza cast thing special?
I am going to recommend X 1999. And also the movie.
Ah,
And
What's
I
that?
think I'm going to read into the manga a bit because I heard it's different or it's not even finished. I'm not sure.
so wait, do you want us to read the manga or do you
No.
want us to watch the anime?
I don't want anyone to read the manga. I want you to watch the anime and the movie, and I'm just going to read into it a little bit, maybe.
How
I don't
many
forget.
episodes?
Well, you can't stop me from reading the manga.
Yeah, I'm saying it's not it's not an obligation. I don't want you to reread the same fucking story again after you watched the anime.
How long is
I mean,
this?
I've already seen
It's-
the anime. I've seen both the anime and the movie, so I might as well read the manga.
Yeah, but it's been like what 10, 15 years for you. You can't tell me
Yes.
that you remember all that.
I don't.
It's
Sure.
it's
but
only
I
26
think-
episodes or something like that, Asa.
Okay. Daniel, stop arguing. You're not allowed to read the manga.
I'll read whatever the fuck I want.
Please do, then I don't have to.
Good one, Bogan.
Okay, whatever.
What?
I don't know. Anyways, that's it, everybody.
You didn't
Next
ask
time-
me. You didn't ask me what I was going to recommend.
Well, it's not your turn.
Damn.
After we do X, then it'll be your turn.
I have no idea what I'm going to recommend.
Yeah, next time you're gonna show up again and not even have a recommendation ready.
Hey, I had a
pull something
recommendation
out of your
ready.
ass at
I
the
had a
last second.
recommendation ready.
Meanwhile, no, you didn't.
Damn.
Meanwhile, I've been thinking about this shit for like 3 weeks,
I feel like
tormenting me.
I feel like maybe I just have more going on in my life than you do.
It doesn't take that much brain power to just think, what am I going to recommend? Oh, here's a thing I like. They might like it too.
I think
Like,
it does. I mean, you have to factor in how long is it? Will they like it? Is it going to be worthy of a discussion? It doesn't mean enough to me to actually warrant recommending it. I mean, you don't get a chance that often in the year.
You also have to think about whether you even want to like spend the time going through it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, could I recommend, like, for the next episode, we're going to be collecting the Stranger Things Funko Pops. Is that a thing I could recommend?
No.
No.
Just like, oh yeah, here's a $700 hole that we're all gonna put ourselves into to collect these plastic pieces of trash.
You already play Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh, that's paper pieces of trash, but I'll allow it. I'll allow it. No, yeah, wait a minute. I did have something. Last time I picked Yu-Gi-Oh!
Okay.
Yeah, didn't you? But you didn't have it ready. I don't know if it was Yu-Gi-Oh! Or the one before.
I think it was All-Star Superman I didn't have ready.
Yeah. You had to do it after the fact,
Yeah.
which is unheard of.
Yes. I'm changing the game.
That's it, everyone. That's been the podcast. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.